Making flu vaccines is straightforward. Some 300 million doses are produced each year to protect the vulnerable every winter. It's made using pretty old-fashioned technology too. The vaccine grown in hundreds of thousands of chicken eggs, so it takes 5 to 6 months to make all that's needed. And each year it has to be different, as the flu virus is constantly mutating. The arrival of swine flu changes everything and presents governments and the world's health officials with an awful dilemma. Vaccine production capacity is limited, so do you switch to making a swine flu vaccine and in doing so leave millions vulnerable to the normal flus still in circulation?
People die from ordinary flu, people die from swine flu. You cannot imagine the situation where you have an old age pensioner who, if he gets an ordinary flu, he may die, but he can't get the vaccine or she can't get the vaccine because they're making vaccines for swine flu.
Here's the dilemma. In normal years, vaccine for next winter's flu season is developed in the early spring and goes into production in April because it takes 5 months or so to build up stocks. For swine flu, following that standard timetable will be too late if, as many expect, it strikes with greater virulence in a second wave in the autumn. So the choice is stark and decisions have to be made fast. The World Health Organization revealed at their daily online briefing today that experts will decide next week if drug makers should gear up for large-scale production of a swine flu vaccine, and soon after that comes the fateful decision whether or not to stop making the seasonal flu vaccines. What criteria would you use to make a decision to switch from seasonal flu vaccine to H1N1, given that it means loss of protection against seasonal flu?
Among these factors would be a good knowledge of how much has already been produced. We hope to be able to have that by next week. Also about the severity of the disease, of this particular disease as compared with seasonal vaccine. We would not want to have no seasonal influenza vaccine, and we think we already have quite a lot of it produced.
Because current flu vaccine technology is so cumbersome, so unable to respond quickly to the threat of a flu pandemic, researchers are now working on new designs for flu vaccines. And the holy grail is a flu jab that gives protection for several years against all strains of flu, regardless of where they came from, in just one single shot. In Oxford, scientists have developed what they hope is just that. Flu vaccines normally work by triggering an immune system antibody response to proteins on the surface of the virus, but they're constantly changing, which is why the vaccine has to be updated. The Oxford team are targeting proteins inside the virus, proteins that crucially are the same in every flu strain, to trigger a different immune system reaction called a T-cell response.
What our vaccine does is train our T-cells to recognise parts of proteins from flu viruses, and the T-cells patrol the body, and what they do is look at all the cells in the body, which display on the outside of themselves a little sample of everything that's on the inside. And if a cell is just a normal human cell, then a T-cell will pass by because it doesn't see anything to interest it. But if it's displaying parts of flu virus proteins on its outside, then the T-cell recognises those and it will then home in and kill that infected cell.
The new vaccine is already being safety tested on volunteers, and the scientists are confident trials will show it to be effective. It would revolutionise flu vaccination as it would protect automatically against a pandemic, but that is several years away.